Penn State 38, Villanova 17. The Nittany Lions are 4-0. He's Nate Bauer. I'm Greg Pickel from Blue White Illustrated. And Nate, I want to calm everyone down. Slow down. It's okay. Penn State did not maybe score as many points as we thought they would, and they gave up maybe a couple more than we thought they would. But ultimately, they're 4-0. They got through this Villanova game. And, you know, I had written something earlier in the week that I didn't believe that with James Franklin's want-to-know mantra, that there was such a thing as either letdown games or less than max effort weeks of practice or blah, blah, blah. James Franklin and his players confirmed that, guess what? It wasn't a good week of practice, and that was part of what happened today. I don't think it's anything to panic about, but again, Penn State 4-0, 38-17. Let's start there.
Yeah, I'm glad that you remember what the score was.
Yeah.
Because I did not.
I had to bring my notes down too.
No, look, they did what they needed to do to secure a win and had explosive play, right? Like, I think that was an element that they're going to build off of and find met their expectations.
Yep.
But then, and look, like, I think that everyone, us included, is focusing mainly on the running game and mainly on the offense, that the offense was hindered or unable to do what it wanted to do today. But just generally speaking, they took care of what they needed to take care of against a team that, and this is where the debate is going to come in.
Right.
I know which side I'm going to argue. But against a team in Villanova that is traditionally pretty good and decided that it was going to take away the run today.
Yep.
I just got done talking to Parker Washington and asked him about, what Villanova's defensive game plan was. And he said that he felt like the first shot to Jahan Dotson down the field for a touchdown really allowed Penn State to kind of take advantage of what Villanova's game plan was. So the follow-up question was, well, what was that game plan?
Right.
And he said, I'm paraphrasing, they wanted to be physical, they wanted to be aggressive defensively, and he felt that the passing game that Penn State had basically took advantage of what those elements were. So he didn't go so far as to say, yeah, they were selling out to stop the run, but, going into all of the things that I think that Penn State will acknowledge, James Franklin will acknowledge, need to improve about the offensive line and what the running game represents right now for Penn State, understanding all of those things, you still have to include the caveat that, yes, Villanova didn't want Penn State to run the ball today, was hell-bent on not allowing that to happen, and so that was really what transpired.
Yeah, the concern to me is that the few times that they did say, okay, we're going to not load the box and run it, Penn State still couldn't run it, and that's something we've seen over the last couple of weeks. So that is the one concerning thing that I come out of this game with. But to your point, look, Ball State, what did we talk about after the Ball State game? Ball State did not want Penn State to go over the top, right?
Correct.
So what did Penn State do? It took what it could, and it just, went down the field, marched down the field, put up enough points to win. Auburn, they just seemed hell-bent on not really doing anything fancy at the line of scrimmage and trying to match up with Penn State, so Penn State beat them in a matchup game 28-20. This game, Villanova packed the box, 6-7 guys in the box every single time, so Sean Clifford at times had to improvise, shall we say, and get out of the pocket and roll, but then he found guys wide open. Keandre Lambert-Smith, I think it was a 13-yard pass and a 70-yard run on an ultimately 83-yard touchdown. So they did what they needed to do when they couldn't run the ball. Now, I know that there's people out there going to say, well, it's Villanova. Penn State is an FBS team. They're an FCS team. Penn State has better players. Those guys aren't even 2-stars, blah, blah, blah. I get all that, but I think it's fair to be concerned about the run game and also realize that some of the things that happened for a reason. That's because Villanova was putting Penn State in position to not have what it wanted to do necessarily work.
And look, you started this segment talking about this reality. There's human nature involved. They just came off of a grinder of a night game against Auburn and really a grinder of a 3-game schedule to start the season. I think it's just this interesting balance and play between being disappointed after a win. Like that seems to be the staple of any time that Penn State has an opponent on this level, and
they're more than a 3-touchdown favorite. If it's not a 5-touchdown victory, it's a problem. I get it.
Well, and it's not just from the fans. It's from Penn State coaches and players, right? Like, it's like it almost this game lends itself to being angry afterward, no matter whether you win or lose. And in some ways, I think that it's going to be a good thing for Penn State.
Yeah.
I think that going into Indiana next week, which, I mean, gosh, we haven't even started on that, but there's all the motivation in the world for Penn State.
Why? Why is that? Was there something controversial in last year's game? We'll talk about that next week.
Honestly, I don't remember. It's it was so long ago. No, but look, like, they're going to be motivated for that Indiana game. And now not only are they motivated for that Indiana game, but they have a week of practice ahead of them in which they can very directly point to film and say, hey, Sean Clifford, why did you not check down when this was available to you? Right? Like, that was, to me, one of the major things of this game that probably won't get talked about a whole lot, but they missed an opportunity in the first half to get their backups in sooner. Right? Like, that was my whole, like, leading into the game, that they needed to prioritize building a lead quickly. And they had every opportunity to do that. This Villanova defense, strong up front, not strong in the third level. Not strong. And so there were opportunities there for Sean Clifford and for his receivers to take advantage of that, and they weren't able to do it in the first half. And so because of that, I think that you saw some of the reserves get in later in the game. James Franklin talked about it afterwards. They were very disappointed in what happened from those third stringers and fourth stringers, those guys that got in late. So, I think that this is a game that Penn State is going to leave with plenty of motivation at every level, first string, second string, third string, among the coaches, you name it, to really develop and get better from.
And, James Franklin starts his news conference by saying that maybe it wasn't the best week. I said it wasn't the best week of practice. There was no maybe about that statement. And I think they'll get that cleaned up on Sunday. Very direct, very clear that, I think if you're a Penn State fan, that if you're frustrated by this or didn't feel like the effort was there, they know it too. And that's something I think can go a long way toward next week at Indiana. One news note, Noah Cain, a little banged up, didn't play after the first series, didn't practice all week, so I don't think it's anything to worry about there. If he was so banged up, he wouldn't have played. So
well, practice, just to clarify, practice less than they had anticipated. So it wasn't that he missed the entire week of practice, it was that he didn't get a full week of practice the way that they anticipated.
Absolutely.
Semantics.
Indeed. Well,
but for what it's worth.
Yes. Penn State is 4-0. Any final thoughts before we get out of here? I think we hit all the bases.
No, I think that was what you expect. That was the type of game, people. We're going to have a whole week to talk about this, so I think that we will enjoy that in the debate that will ensue. But generally speaking, Penn State's 4-0, another 1-0 week, and really things start to get interesting again next week, regardless of how good Indiana has been to this point. This was the take a moment to inhale.
Yes.
Because it's coming.
All right. Well, join us to talk about all that in the Lions Den forum, bwi.rivals.com. He's Nate Bauer. I'm Greg Pickel. We'll see you next week.